Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt in Studio West. Welcome. If you're watching on the Salem News Channel, my orange and brown tie is in recognition that the NFL draft goes off tonight at 8 p.m. in the East, and the Browns will be drafting second. I'm joined by Senator James Lankford of the great state of Oklahoma, which have not been very good to the Browns over the years. Although I like Baker Mayfield a lot. He was a Sooner. Brandon Weeden didn't take us very far. He was a Cowboy senator. Are you watching the draft tonight?
You know what? I'll dip in and out of the draft on it just because it's fun entertainment to be able to see. But I actually have got several calls and things I'm chasing down. But it's always fun to be able to have the draft go on, especially if it's happening in Green Bay. I mean, it's like the center of the football universe.
I don't know how they get all the reporters into Green Bay. I think someone's staying with former Congressman Mike Gallagher. Senator, yesterday, you're on the Senate Finance Committee. Yesterday, I had on Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith. He put a dart on the board. He said, July 4th, we're going to put this reconciliation bill on the president's desk. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I have tried to put the dart on the board for the very end of July, but I'll take any time in July that we can actually get it.
Now, we talked a lot about the various tax provisions. If I'm not mistaken, they have to go through you. Am I right about that? They have to go through finance.
They do, actually. So Ways and Means has it in the House of Representatives. Finance has it in the Senate. So they are the twin committees between the two.
So I asked him a couple of hard questions, pointed questions. Where are we on salt? The blue state Republicans, the half dozen that are left in California and a handful in New York, they want some higher salt caps. What does James Lankford think about that?
They do. I think I would like to keep the salt where it is right now, quite frankly. A lot of folks want to be able to drop that down, and that is going to be one of the major arguments. There's also been a conversation that say, can we take the marriage penalty out of it? Because right now it's $10,000 per household rather than $10,000 per person. So I get that. We try to take out as many marriage penalty issues as we can in the tax code on it, but that is a multi-billion-dollar change. And it is, quite frankly, a change for the top bracket. Only 9% of Americans actually itemize their taxes anymore. So it is the top 9% of American filers are the ones that actually get the benefit from the salt tax change, which, again, not trying to be, one way or the other. I want people to make as much money as they can in America, go work hard, go earn money, and go make it. That's a good thing on it. But we seem to be having an argument about that group right now. We got to be able to figure out what are we doing on small businesses, what are we doing on nonprofits, what are we doing on a lot of other areas we got to resolve.
My biggest concern is small business certainty. I run one. I want to know what the rules are going to be so I can figure out how to plan for the next 10 years. So I'm with you on focus on the important stuff. I know there's a $2 trillion hole that has to be filled somehow, and that your colleagues don't want to cut Medicaid. I have been pushing along with a few other people, opening a Roth conversion window where if you've got a 401k or a Roth or a non-Roth IRA, you convert it to a Roth IRA at a flat tax or 10 or 15%. It would raise trillions of dollars. Is that floating around Senate Finance?
There are 1,000 things floating around Senate Finance. That is one of them. I would tell you, when we start talking about all the different pieces of this, it gets complicated in a hurry because there are so many pieces. But frankly, we've got to resolve each and every one of them, and we've got 3 months to do it. We've got to have this done by the time we get to August, because it's going to take at least 5 months for the IRS to be able to promulgate all the rules. And for things like full expensing, which is one of the major pieces we got to do for small businesses, to be able to make sure they get full expensing on the year they actually have the expense. We want to make that permanent, and to be able to lock that in, it's going to take a little while to be able to get the rules out on that. Let's get it done.
Now, Senator, when the tax committees get together, who goes from the House? And I know Jason Smith goes, but is it just Jason Smith and your chair, or is it a group of three from each? How do you do that?
There's a mix. It depends on the issue. So there'll be different groups together on things like small businesses. There'll be a group. There'll be a group dealing with international tax. There'll be a group dealing with energy tax. There'll be different specialized. So different. Not every senator is deep in every part of the tax code. It may be shocking to you, but not every senator is a CPA. So we're all digging in.
I pity you all. I barely got through tax in law school. I walked out saying that was my Gallipoli. I got a Mercy D. Let me turn to your other committee, Homeland Security. You are very strong on the border. I know that there are some very key priorities on the border. Are those going through that committee?
They will go through Homeland Security, and Homeland Security and Judiciary both are going to add some additional dollars for things like finishing out the border while adding some additional dollars for enforcement, putting more Border Patrol, putting more ICE agents on the street. Those are key aspects right now. We've got to have more beds. We've got about 45,000 beds. Those beds were used by the Biden administration to move people in. The Trump administration is using those same beds by ICE to move people out. But when you deport someone and remove them, they are going to spend, a week or two, sometimes just a day or two, in custody, and then they've got to be able to be moved out. We could actually remove more, especially criminal aliens, if we had more beds. So those are important financial pieces that have got to be done during this as well.
Let's talk about that a second, Senator. They have to be humane. They have to be clean.
Sure.
They have to be safe. But 45,000 really isn't a drop in the bucket when you're talking minimum 10 million people crossed the border in the 4 years under President Biden. What number do you think we need to actually have a workable detention system near the border to facilitate rapid deportation of those who are not eligible to stay?
Yeah, our target has been somewhere between 90 to 95,000 beds that are available. So you're talking doubling the beds that we have now in the capacity. That gives the flexibility to be able to move people in and out. Also, is region to region. You don't have to have big flights to be able to get people to where there's an open bed. There are bed spaces that are out there. Quite frankly, the Biden administration made the rules so tight on, for instance, private prisons or county prisons. If they meet the state standard, they should also be able to meet the federal standard. But they jacked up the federal standard so high that hardly any location could meet it. So if the Trump administration says we're going to back this back to where the standard used to be, that opens up more opportunities for more beds that are out there. Then we just got to contract with them and do it. So the bed space is there. We just got to be able to get through the process of all the different contracting and agreements.
Now, Senator, I want to close with, I think the most important committee on both sides is the Intel Committee. You're on there with our friend,
Yep.
Senator Cotton.
When
you hear President Trump talk about Iran, what do you hear? Because I hear him saying, dismantle the centrifuges, open every door right away, or we will bomb you. I don't think it's a complicated message, but what do you hear as a member of Intel?
Yeah, I hear him saying a very clear message of saying Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is not an issue of Iran cannot have nuclear medicine or Iran cannot have nuclear power. That's fine. That's not the issue. But you don't have to enrich uranium to 90% if you're doing nuclear medicine or nuclear power. That's what they're doing. They're pushing their uranium to where it's only a weaponized system of uranium. If we've got very strict standards for how we're going to actually inspect, if they're able to open up, which they can, to be able to open up, to be able to allow clear inspections, we don't have a beef with Iran other than two things. The Iranian people are not the problem. The Iranian regime is the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. They've got to knock that off because they're attacking us with the Houthis. They're attacking our allies in Israel every single day with Hezbollah and with Hamas and the Houthis, and they're planning to be able to have a nuclear weapon. So those are the two things. We want them to be a part of the family of nations. They don't have to agree with America on everything, but they can't start killing our friends. They can't plan to be able to have a nuclear weapon and to be able to come bring the attack to us.
Good, strong messaging. Last question, Senator Lankford. You're not on the Committee of Jurisdiction when it comes to energy, but Oklahoma is, if it's not the second, it's the third most important energy producing state. Will the energy committees get Oklahoma what they need in the authorizing language on reconciliation to be able to drill and pipeline stuff out of there?
Yeah, we will. We're still going to miss some of the pipeline permitting issues. That will take 60 votes. That's a bigger issue that we got to resolve. My friends on the left, they all want to say we've got to have more transmission lines to be able to move solar power and wind power. Fine, we've got to be able to resolve some of those things, but we can't take over eminent domain of individuals, and we've got to be able to get pipelines run across the country. So far, the folks on the left refuse to allow more pipelines, and they just assume that's the way they shut down all movement of carbon fuels is by shutting down pipelines. What it does is it puts more trucks on the road, puts more trains out there, creates greater risk on it. We are going to need oil and natural gas for as far as the eye can see on it. Ask anybody that is serious about energy. So let's make sure we're actually doing pipeline permitting. That's got to be done, but we can do some significant changes. And I would say I've been meeting with some of the folks in the EPA. They're determined to be able to make sure rules are fair and follow the law, because Biden added a lot of additional things and rules and regulations that are not consistent with the law. He added some extra little special sauce on that. Let's actually just move it back to what the law says.
Lee Zeldin is going to be great for you, but just very quickly, I thought it was a 50-vote deal if it went through the authorizing committee. There's no way to advance pipelines through the reconciliation because we need them. We need them everywhere.
we need them everywhere. I mean, the folks in the Northeast, bless their soul, they fight all the time on pipelines not coming through, so they end up buying foreign natural gas to be able to come into the Northeast part of the United States. Apparently, they're just allergic to natural gas from Pennsylvania, but they're not allergic to natural gas coming from foreign sources on it. So we've got to be able to resolve that long term. What we can't do on a 51 vote threshold in the Senate is change policy. We can change numbers. There's very strict rules on that. If it's policy, it's got to have 60.
Senator Lankford, always good to talk to you. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the draft as you dip in and out tonight and negotiate the tax bill. Always good to talk to you. Jim Lankford from Oklahoma. I'll be right back. America's